I called John, and his phone was just, the past 2 days, just like, this person's not accepting calls. So I think John has just gone off. He's just gone off the deep end.
All right, you start that.
For those of you guys who don't know who John is, he shows up in a lot of our videos. He's the only other guy that the tattooed. He's kind of the unadopted third Brothers Green, but he decided to leave Brothers Green to quit and move to a farm, be a farmer. And like,
didn't we fire him? He quit, or
did we
fire him? He was drinking way too much, so we had to
the
let
best
him go.
employee we ever had, the only employee we ever had, but the best.
Brothers Green Podcast. Coming to you from the office space in the back of Josh's apartment. Out there, this is our first podcast, the Brothers Green Podcast. We don't even have a name for it yet. Up for suggestions from anyone out there. But other than that, welcome to the show. We are brought to you by no one as of now. If anyone wants to sponsor us, we're up for that as well.
I want to thank Brothers Green for sponsoring this episode and every other one thus far. Yeah, so what are we doing here?
So we're just really chatting. I wanted to start a podcast so we could chat about anything really, food related, philosophy related. We wanted to bring on anyone. That's actually the real reason I started. I just wanted to bring people on to chat with, cool people, see what's going on in the food world, see what's going on in life in general.
Huh. I made crunchkins today.
There we go.
Oh, yeah, they were good.
So the biggest thing in the food world these days is the cronut.
It's the cronut, yeah. I made the crunchkin, but it's the cronut.
And the original guy, he's out of NYC, some baker, I don't know, I'm sure he's some French guy.
Dominic Ansel.
Yeah, he sounds like he's got a lot of experience, but the genius figured that if he took croissant dough and he deep fried it, he could sort of have a hybrid of a donut and a
I mean, he cuts it like a donut. He fills it with cream. He frosts it. I watched some videos. It's kind of funny. It's sort of bittersweet. It looks like for him because on the one hand he's got this hit, and people literally get.
Yeah.
You can get there. You have to get there at 5 a.m. to even have a chance of getting one. Maximum of 2 per person. I think they're like $20. People are like selling on the streets for $40.
There's
for
Craigslist ads out there for
Yeah.
like $150.
But they sell out by 9 a.m. every day. And I think it's a little bit bittersweet because I saw some video with him, and it's great. You know, the whole thing blew up, and people are freaking out about the cronut. But he's like this French, like classically trained chef, and he's like, we have a lot of other good stuff too.
That's always an interesting situation. It's like if Guy Fieri comes into your restaurant and you talk about these amazing ribs you have, and of course, you know, you make all of this money, which in some sense is nice.
Yeah.
But it's bittersweet that people don't give a fuck about the rest of your menu.
Yeah.
So like, which side do you play? I would just be happy that people are coming to my restaurant or my place to eat.
Yeah, well, I think you have to accept. I mean, for him, it seemed like, you know, it is an art. And like, if you look at the other pastries, they're all a lot more refined than a fried donut croissant. I mean, I made it. It was delicious. Don't get me wrong.
So back to the original point, Josh made crunchkins after a special request from one of our friends, Mark Geffen. You want to explain?
The crunchkin was, he said, why don't you flip the cronut on their head and make crunchkins? And the crunchkin is just like a munchkin, like a donut hole version. and they probably taste pretty much the same. They're really good.
So you were making the donut hole and just tossing the outside. You were getting rid of that.
Yeah, I was frying it all, just
for
making
the
a bunch of
munchkin?
holes. The only problem is when you're testing that stuff. I mean, I think the only thing I've eaten for the past 2 days is deep fried croissant, and I don't feel the best I've ever felt.
I took one bite of these things, and that's the first thing I thought was, wow, you must feel like shit if you've been eating these for 2 days straight.
I feel fine. My body can handle it, but it's I don't want to go out and run a marathon. I'll tell you that much. That's not my number one.
Your body can handle it, but your butthole still.
We'll find out. I'll find out. I mean, when you start to eat healthier, when you put in that kind of food, you can usually process it a lot faster. Just it's in and it's out. So.
But also, there's the other side. I found from eating healthier, your body understands what's happening when you put in, if you're just eating fast food all the time and you're eating Crunchkins on top of that, it's like you just feel like shit. You're just gonna feel like a straight, pile of poop for a while. But if you're eating fruits and vegetables and then you put a Crunchkin in there for a day straight, your energy levels are gonna be down, and that's how I feel.
Yeah.
Like I just feel more in tune when you're eating healthy to when you do eat some bad stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, and I don't even. I mean, granted, it's flour, butter, and deep fried, and sugar.
Ingredient deep fried.
It has its merits. Like it's still better than McDonald's. It's not amazing, but it's something that I would do like on a special occasion.
Yeah.
But I'm not eating those for breakfast.
But you are eating those for breakfast.
I mean,
That's
not
right
after
now.
not after
You
this.
have been eating those for breakfast for the last 2 days.
Yeah, I mean, and then when they sit, they really get good. I don't know.
You think they're better now that they've sat?
I think you just get more of a croissant feel.
Oh yeah, that's
once they
true.
sit.
That's true.
At first, they're more like a zeppoli. It tastes a lot like a zeppoli,
Yeah.
but you get the full croissant.
Let me just take another.
Yeah,
For
I
you
mean,
guys
they are
out
really,
there, I'm going to
really
try to
good.
explain this. It
I also
definitely-
love croissants.
Sorry for the chewing.
It's good.
Tastes like a deep fried croissant. It's
Right.
really good with a delicious glaze.
Yeah. Dr.
Yeah, I
Pepper.
can see eating those for 2 days. That would be pretty intense.
Yeah, I mean, and I've been eating other stuff too. Good stuff.
Mixed in there.
But this is what we do, as cooks, we sacrifice our bodies from time to time to figure out how to make things taste good, so you don't have to go through the same process. Which is, I'm fine with it. The way I think about it is that, let's erase right now. Let's go back, 1,000 years when people didn't know as much about food. Someone sees a mushroom growing, they have two options. They either ignore it, or maybe they're starving and they just eat it, and maybe it's delicious, or maybe it kills them. And if they're dead, then the other people know not to eat that. And if they're not dead, if it's delicious, then you can eat that mushroom. So I kind of look at food that way. Like there were people that were taking much greater risks than just like eating a Crunchkin, than like going out.
That's a pretty good point right there. I was confused where you were going with that, but when you really break it down,
We're
a
pioneers.
nasty diarrhea for like 1 day is better than death, I would say.
And the truth is, I don't really have that anymore. If I do, like something is beyond wrong. It's not just a Crunchkin that's gonna make me sit on the toilet. Like it used to be an everyday occurrence. I was eating as a kid a lot of fast food and just a lot of like frozen boxed crap. But now, usually things are pretty much.
Heartburn that was one. Once you get rid of the heartburn,
Oh, heartburn, that
you're
was the
doing
worst.
something. If you have heartburn, you got to change your diet. There's no reason that your fucking heart should burn like that. That's just not like you digest food in your stomach. So if it's traveling up through your blood into your heart, you have a serious change what you're eating.
I know.
Stop taking Tums because that can't be good. That's just another thing you're eating because you're eating so many of them. It's like
Tums are the heartburn as Luden's lozenge. Or throat.
What'd you say? I don't even know what you said.
That's it. Tums are the heartburn as Luden's lozenges are the throat issues. Those things, they were just candy. You were sucking on those things.
So you're saying you really enjoyed the taste of the Tums more than like the effect?
I mean, Luden's taste better than Tums.
Are they called loons?
Luden's lozenges.
Oh, Luden's. I thought you loons you were saying.
But I used to think that heartburn was contagious because Bogan, one of my old best friends from high school, had the worst heartburn. And I remember it was like he was prescribed, like Prilosec, all those things, they weren't good enough. He was prescribed like 60 milligrams of like ultra heartburn stuff. And he was still getting heartburn. And that one summer I had some really, really terrible, terrible heartburn. I remember it got so bad. I mean, I would wake up in the morning and I would go get a bacon, egg, and cheese from this place called Joe's. You remember Joe's?
Oh, yeah.
Which is right next to where I worked at the car detail shop.
These weren't any bacon, egg, and cheese. No. These bacon, egg, and cheeses were on a hoagie roll.
Yeah, well,
so much goddamn bacon. They were delicious. People would load hot sauce, maple syrup.
Yeah, and you're eating that, with hot sauce, bacon, egg, and cheese in the morning, and then for lunch I would go there and get like a hamburger on a
hoagie roll. Everything
roll,
was on a goddamn hoagie roll in Philadelphia.
And it got to the point where I would like take a sip of water and get heartburn. It was terrible. I remember I have this vivid memory being like in my little workshop with the other guys cleaning cars, and I would be so thirsty I would drink water and my heart would burn. And that's when I knew something was not right.
Yeah.
Eating a lot of fast food. And that summer I started to try to eat better. But yeah, back to your point, heartburn is not something you should be having.
The only time I've ever gotten heartburn was when, for some odd reason, probably because I was lazy, I think in high school every morning I was eating a Hot Pocket. And slowly, after like 2 weeks went by, I was getting heartburn for the first time. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Quickly, I realized I should probably stop eating these Hot Pockets. Stopped eating them, heartburn gone. So those things, avoid those too. That's an interesting way to start your day.
Oh, man. I mean, the heartburn is one thing, but we were talking initially about the not so great toilet experiences, and it's sad, it's gross and it's vulgar and everything talked about, but it's the truth, and most people that have stomach issues and that are stuck on toilets crapping their pants, it's like it's not a fun position to be in. And I think for me, even when I eat, if I occasionally eat something that's not as good, I'm still fine. It really takes something bad, like the last time I had McDonald's, years ago, having McDonald's and just being like
straight
not
poison.
Feeling right for like 3 days.
Yeah. Speaking of poison, this is a little side story. Josh poisoned me. That was actually the last time I did feel like that, and I was projectile crapping out of my. I come to.
Oh god.
I come over, and I don't know, we were recipe testing or something, and we used to make these, back when we started to get into cooking, the first thing we were making was like these elaborate sandwiches with all these sauces, and I hadn't had one of these things in a while. He pulls out this sausage, and he's like, oh, this is from last week's party or something, and I don't know, I kind of just trusted him at that point. So he cooks up this sausage, makes this huge goddamn sandwich, puts like all of this sauce on it, and I eat it, and I was, it was satisfying, but I go home that night and just lost my control of my butthole, basically, and straight poisoned. And he said he was completely fine.
That was fine.
I was poisoned for an entire day and a half just pooping.
Always blame the bacon, pork, cheese sandwich.
Yeah, so I forgot about that. He had obviously pork sausage on there on top of bacon, which is completely unnecessary. Maybe my body just physically couldn't handle that much pork, but also it was probably a week old. So
yeah, which makes you wonder about the epic mealtime guys.
Yeah,
but I think what it is your body. I mean, God knows that they're really eating that food. They might spit it out.
I hope not. I doubt that.
I'm sure at first they were.
Yeah, exactly.
it was the same.
And then they start making money, and they're like, "Wait, now that I'm making money, like I'd probably want to live for a little longer since I'm making this money." You're just reckless in the beginning. Sorry, we're just checking the microphones.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, those guys probably don't eat all that food, and when you are eating it, you don't notice it. Like when you're raised in an environment where you're eating fast food, you aren't always aware like of what it's really gonna do to your body, and your body's kind of used to it. It might not be actually doing any benefit to you, but you get used to it, and you even get used to like going to the bathroom and just accepting that it's gonna suck. But once you start eating better and cooking for yourself, then when you do go back to that stuff, it makes you realize, and your body is aware very quickly, like, hey.
Yeah, your body is special. Good analogy for that is when most people go to college and they drink for 4 straight years. Like, it's kind of your time where you're allowed to do that. I was drinking a lot, but I just, my body was running. I still seemed fine. Not until after I was out of college did I realize, wow, you were probably an alcoholic. You were probably addicted to alcohol, and you were definitely not functioning at a high level. But when I was in college, I felt fine. I was like, I'm drinking 5 days a week, whatever, waking up, I'm not even hungover. But you realize when you don't realize when you're in it, but wow, that really takes a toll.
No, it's true. I mean, I don't drink that much anymore, but drinking was another big thing that when I did have heartburn, like drinking would really make it worse. Like you drink like whiskey and you just feel it. I mean, you're already feeling the burn, and you're getting the burn.
If you're feeling the burn,
you're getting the double burn.
Double burn. I don't think.
Same with the stomach, like alcohol. You've got the beer shits. Like that's never fun in the morning.
I don't think I ever took a solid shit in my 4 years of college. I don't think when you are drinking that much, combined with like even I was eating well, but if you're piling on drinking on top of that, you're poops. No, I don't think so.
They're not poops. They're brown pee.
You've really been hitting the poops.
Sorry guys.
On our first podcast.
I'm sure you were expecting that, but this is different. You're not seeing food. We're not going to deter you.
That's true. This is our time when we can talk about the poops.
It's all audio, and again, it's truth. And somebody's got to talk about it. Somebody's got to stand up for what's right. And talk about the reality of the situation, because most people aren't comfortable talking about these things. But it's like, why? I remember I used to be so afraid. Tell someone that you had to go to the bathroom real bad because you're embarrassed, but it's like everybody has those moments.
Yeah.
Everybody is got their head in their hands, sweating, like the chills, like what did I just eat? And food does that to you, and you got to be careful because it's not fun. And once you start eating better, you realize that it's not worth it. No matter how good the food tastes, it's not worth.
That's
the 5 minutes of food. Satisfaction is not worth the 3 hours of terrible.
When you said, you haven't had that for a while, and then you went to McDonald's and you had that experience, like the memories it brings back, you're like, holy shit, when I was a kid, and like you have these stomach aches and you're just like bent over the toilet, you're like, this is the worst pain in the world. Like it's true, you never want to recreate that again, and you'll go out of your way, I hope, to not have that, because that is some of the worst.
And it'll happen a couple times before you really get the hang of it. I would
work yourself slowly.
It's slow, Maybe you were eating it every day, then you start eating it a couple times a week, and then it slows down, and then next thing you know, you haven't had it in a year, and you're like, all right, well, let's see what happens. And I remember the last time I really ate McDonald's, like actually, got some stuff from there. I didn't feel right for not like a couple hours, but like days. Like my system, I felt like I was literally poisoned for like 3 days. I was just off.
It was like time release Adderall. It was just like slowly poisoning your system throughout the few days.
No, it was bad. And
I love the South Park episode where with the Double Do and Cartman.
Oh yeah, this is Diet Double Do.
No, they relate it to I Shouldn't Be Alive. What Cartman didn't know was the Diet Double Do is slowly reacting, causing a diarrhea load.
I was going to combine with the Arby's Mega Bacon Crunch. Yeah, those guys are smart.
Those guys are smart. Let's talk more about John Clay for the people that don't know John Clay. You said he completely is shut off from society right now.
John Clay's
his phone is off.
He's the only guy that I know that can move to New York, manage to drink every day, and read like 600 books in a year.
Bang a bunch of chicks in the interim.
This guy, I mean, my best friend, best friend of all time. Great guy.
Only employee of our company ever.
Yeah. I mean, he really kept us together in a special way. But, New York was not, he's a mountain man. New York was never meant for him, but he was really happy to be here. And it was a cool experience. It was great having him. But he was the calling of the wild, and he decided to take this farm job. And now that he's there, I think he's straight farm. I was waiting for it. Like, I knew he wasn't going to stay in New York, and I can only imagine what's going on the farm. All I know is that his phone's just...
Yeah, so he moved to a completely organic farm in
went from
Pennsylvania.
Drinking and smoking and eating a ton of food and doing God knows what in New York to just hitting up a farm with like 6 people.
Waking up at 5 a.m. every day, working till 5 p.m, probably just manual labor all day, work in the fields with his hands and the tractors.
And he loves it. I mean, I've seen him a couple times. He's really loving it. It's definitely a different experience. But he wanted to get more connected to that kind of stuff. Learning how to make all your food, grow it all. Which I think is ultimately where we're all trying to get towards in some way. But
just waking up every day and knowing I got to tend these vegetables. I got to do that. Like, having that task for a guy like John is amazing. I'm sure he wakes up and he's just like, I got to get shit done.
Yeah.
And where...
Props to him for doing it.
New York is it's an interesting place. People usually wake up and they they go to work and they have a bunch of tasks. It's different. Manual labor and mental labor are a different beast.
Yeah.
But there's not much manual labor going on.
But he worked for us, so it was he wasn't waking up and going to work. Let's just say that. It was kind of like a wake up whenever you want and start doing some stuff. And we're probably the most laid back food-related company out there.
Company,
yeah, whatever you want to call it. Even I remember our first producer that produced season 1. She would start freaking out, not because things were crazy, but because things were too chill. She'd be like, "This is way too chill. Like, what's going on here? Like, I feel too relaxed." I'm like, "That's a good thing."
It was too relaxed, but also we were right on time. So it was, it was playing her hard. She was like, "Wait, these guys are cool and they're sticking to the schedule. What is going on?"
It doesn't make sense.
She also freaked out when, like, I think she saw us getting along as siblings. She was like, "I gotta call my kids. Yeah. I'm having a revelation right now." Oh, still going?
Yeah, that's good.
Still going.
Drop the recording device. I did an interview recently with someone, and they dropped the recording device, and it
smashed.
No. The car got ejected, and I lost the whole thing.
Yeah.
And midway through, I was like, I couldn't tell him. I was like, fuck.
Well, when those situations are interesting, you're like, I just lost all that, but I guess it was meant to be.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And so I told her the next day, I was like, we got some really great stuff. I was like, I'd love to get back in there and do something a little more intimate. Like, now that I know your story.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
always something about that first time is always special, though. Just like this first podcast ever.
First podcast, write in. I don't know how you write on a podcast. I don't know how that works, but
maybe we'll put a little comment section under the podcast. But you can find this podcast, I guess, on our. Hopefully you would already know because you'd be there. But it's going to be on our website under the podcast section and on iTunes as well.
iTunes. Maybe we'll even make a video that says podcast to let people know we have it.
Yeah. We need a video.
You can just comment in on there whenever you want.
Oh, just a podcast.
Video, like a video. Yeah. Because I don't want to film these things until.
Yeah. No, filming is
too much space.
Too much filming in general. This is our time away from the filming.
Yeah. I like the filming. Gotta have the filming, but don't always need it.
Yeah, so who would you want to have on this podcast? Because that's honestly, I listen to a lot of podcasts and I love them all, and I'm like, oh, it'd be great to go on there. And then I realized I'd probably never get on any of them, so I figured I'd just do my own and have on, I don't know, my friends, people I know.
Yeah, I mean, anyone that wants to come on, let us know. You know?
You don't even have to be in the food world. That's, I think, a big part of us. We're in New York and we cook, but we aren't necessarily correlated in this whole underground food world. That's
very confusing.
It's you want to explain? I mean, the word foodie is thrown around a lot. If you want to kind of break that down in New York, because you got into it much earlier than I did.
Foodie is almost like hipster. You know, it's like nobody wants to be called a foodie. You know, they'll deny it up and down. You know, but
at the same time, they're pushing forward to become the ultimate foodie or hipster.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is, but I guess the way I always kind of saw it is it's this new term that was created for people that are just really like food obsessed.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily mean because there aren't other words for that. It's like a hobby. It's like you're an athlete. You know, an athlete was a thing. You know, it wasn't a thing before sports, and now that it is, it's like, okay, well, these people are athletes.
Yeah. What
kind of athlete doesn't matter. They soccer, they football, doesn't matter. But foodie, you know, they like food. You know, it doesn't. Are they a chef? Do they like to cook? Like, I don't know, but they like food.
And I guess that's why right now in our generation it has some sort of negative aspect to the word, because everyone likes food.
Yeah. No.
Like, if you're like, oh, I made this, like, you know, I looked up this recipe and I made this lasagna and it was great, and you get called a foodie, you're like, whoa, dude, that's a little offensive. But like, you know, many people like food, and maybe there needs to be a different word, or maybe people just need to get used to it.
Yeah, it might just be getting used to, because it's just a word. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's the kind of thing that you can say to someone. Like, I've never called myself a foodie, or I've never been like, oh, that person's a foodie. It's just, I don't really use the word, but I guess it makes sense. You know, and what you were getting at before is that we are, you know, we've been in New York for a long time. We kind of got into the underground food scene. Just, you know, brief background. We were doing a lot of underground cooking jobs and throwing parties and stuff. And there's a really cool food community that's beyond the chef at the restaurant situation. But we didn't even really fit into that exactly. We know a lot of people that are in the food world, and it'd be fun to have them all on. Anyone that wants to come on, you know, give us a shout out. We'd love to talk to you and get to know your story, you know, in a real way. But yeah, we'll just see what happens. God knows, this could be the only podcast ever. I don't know. I'll be fine with it, you know.
That's interesting. Going back to the foodie thing, I feel like from our generation is unique in that way, because from things like the Food Network, people, it's like everyone always loved food. It's obvious, you know. Not everyone cooked and not everyone participated in going to restaurants, but now that it's like mainstream, it's like everyone's a fucking foodie. Everyone wants to come out and talk about, you know, how much they know or what they can cook.
Yeah.
You gotta eat.
Oh, I saw something. This guy is like projected to make like $1 billion. He a year ago or something, he figured he made this formula called like Soylent, and it looks like semen. And
it sounds like semen.
And he decided that, or if he like somehow figured out that he could just live off that for like ever, just this one like formula of whatever's in it.
It's a liquid.
People started going nuts for it. And he already like pre-sold $1 million.
What does this have to do with foodie?
Well, I mean, it's like most people like food because they have to eat it, but like I think the idea is he's trying to create this really simple.
So it's like a nutrient-dense, like liquid.
Yeah, like sustain human life, you know, forever, something like that. And we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
But you know,
he's got to make it over a year first.
Most people like. I mean, not, you know, in our culture, most people like food, but some cultures people just eat it just to survive. You know.
That's very true.
And there aren't, you know, foodie came out of, I think, the fact that we can be lazy.
Yeah.
You know, in our culture, and we can.
We have time.
Yeah, I mean, like the fact that, you know, in this country we can go to a restaurant, order a nice steak, ask for it, you know, medium rare, and then chew it and spit it out and send it back. You know, upset that it's overcooked is kind of a joke to me. You know, it's like, okay, I get it, you're paying a lot of money, but at the same time, it's kind of one big fucking joke.
Yeah.
You know? Like there are plenty of people that are just happy to eat because they have food.
That's, I feel like, you know, part of what we're trying to do, or at least what I'm trying to do, is just to get people interested in cooking their own food. And because, you know, it's a different experience. You're not so stuck up when you're cooking your own food. That's a direct result of what you're doing. I mean, you could spit it out and be like, this doesn't taste good, but you're going to be like, fuck, I should probably change the recipe.
Yeah, try
change it up.
Yeah. I mean, it's a slow progression to get into food and get more connected to it, you know, and you can go from, you know, eating fast food and try to go right to eating, you know, all healthy, fresh, organic, all natural, or you can just take it slow, you know, which I find works the best.
Taking it slow is always a nice approach. It's you know, it's putting in the time. It's like the long-term investment. Yeah. Ultimately, you're gonna get there. Just take it one step at a time. Start. Yeah. You know, if you guys don't cook, start by watching one of our really simple videos. Really simple. We got some 4-ingredient videos, some simple pantry recipes. Start with one of those and see how that goes. They're really hard to screw up. That's the best part about them. You know, it's not like you're making a filet mignon.
Yeah, it's true. You know, and if you eat 8 Big Macs a week, you know, and you scale that back to 4, even just that is going to do something, you know.
All right, so if you're only 8 Big Macs a week,
yeah.
Take it down to 6, throw in 1 homemade pizza, see where you feel after a week.
Yeah, I mean, small things, you know, in time, you know, it will change, and it can change. Brothers Green, tuning out.
Brothers Green, first
Crunchkins.
Podcast. You know, we are looking for sponsors. We love all you guys. We just want to talk. We're looking for people to talk to. Still don't have a name, too, so write in if there's a spot to write in, and let us know what you think the name should be. But it's been good, guys. Enjoy your life.